welcome to another episode of The Digital Painter. My name's Terry Danich-Kimak II, and I'm The Digital Painter. Hey look, I said Digital Painter twice, 3 times. Alright, I'm done saying Digital Painter 4 times. This week, or today, or who knows, I might have already released another video. I don't keep track anymore. But we are going to be doing a technique video today. We're going to play with some watercolors. Now, digital watercolors, but watercolors nonetheless. We're going to use the program that replicates watercolor fairly well, and that is Rebelle. And if you don't have Rebelle, don't worry. There are other programs you could use. You could use Orion Ink on the iPad. You could use Corel Painter. I mean, there's a whole variety of things, but I'm going to be working in Rebelle. And if you've never seen Rebelle before, well, then this is your chance to actually see Rebelle in action. Yeah, exciting. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Why? Because subscribing's good. Hit it. You know you want to. If you're watching this on the website, well, thank you for visiting the Digital Painter. If you are an oldie but a goodie, then you probably remember the theater professor. I've switched it over if you're just coming back, and I'm very excited about where we're going with it. So enough talking about, painting and digital painting and theater professoring and subscribing and all those other good things. Let's get into the good stuff, which is this right here. All right, so what you see is over to the right over here, I have this beautiful little tulip. Why am I doing tulip? Because I like tulips. They're pretty. You could do a rose, you could do a carnation, you could do a daffodil, do whatever pleases you. But choose something that you're going to have fun with. Now we're going to be working in a messy manner. And what I mean by that is I'm not going for realism here. I'm not going to draw it out, try to get it as realistic as looking as possible, and then watercolor it as realistic as possible. I'm just going to toss some paint onto our canvas and see what comes up. Now you're probably asking me, why do that? Well, because we oftentimes get really stuck in making sure that we have the correct or the perfect image that matches real life. There's something to be said about going off the cuff and letting things roll. Now, this is not going to be a masterpiece. I'm not trying to do a masterpiece here. I am going to do it in 300 DPI because if it does turn out like I wanted, I'm going to want to print it. But this is not something that I'm trying to create that's perfect. If I was doing that, then I'd be doing things in a different way. This is about expanding our creativity and having fun. In fact, if you look at that tulip, it's probably, my tulip's not going to look like that tulip. It's going to look different. So let's go ahead and get started. Now I'm going to grab a fairly big brush here, and I'm going to actually bring the size up a little bit. Make a couple of adjustments there, and then come over and choose a color. Now, when working in watercolor, you generally want to work light to dark. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to look at this. Now, what we see here is we have a bell shape. So that's what I'm going to try and mimic here, is I'm going to try and mimic. Oh, it's not bad. Not bad for one quick swipe. You notice that I did that in one quick swipe. I'm not sitting here. I'm not agonizing over it. It was just about throwing one color down. Now, as you can see in this program, we can actually see what's still wet, what's drying, where things are still. You can see it's still kind of bleeding into each other right now. And we're just going to let that happen. Some of it's going to start to dry a little bit, and that's fine. In fact, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do a second tulip over here, and we'll see what comes up. And this tulip, let's put this tulip in the foreground. So it's going to be a little bigger. Now this, I did not do quite as well. Not quite as happy with this shape, but I'm going to let it go. So we'll let that spread a little bit. And while that's spreading, I'm going to grab a green. We're going to reduce the size. And I'm not happy with that. So let's grab a darker green. Reduce the size even further. And I went too small on the size. Ooh, now that I like. And in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to increase the size. That was zooming in, not what I wanted to do. Increase the size. Oops. To go roughly over the same spot. Okay. So now we've got 2 of our tulips based in. Now these are not done, obviously. We're just we based them in, not based them, because if we were cooking them, that's a terrible idea. I've never had cooked tulip. If you've had cooked tulip before, please leave a message. Let me know how cooked tulip tastes. Cool thing about this program, you can start to see some of the lavender mixing in with the green because it's acting very much like a real watercolor. Now in real life, we'd maybe sit here and let this dry. Well, we don't have to. If we go back and look at this, we can see what's dry, what's not, and we can actually hit the dry button. And now it's all dry. Turn it off, and now I can come in and I can continue moving. We're going to look at our tulip. We see we got some shadows, so let's pretend our light source is coming from the top down like this. So I need kind of a darkish for in here. We need to always make sure you look at your brushes. Again, the good news is we can always just kind of let that bleed. And while that's bleeding, we're going to take this a little smaller and look in here. We're going to kind of come and the same thing over here. Again, I'm not being super exact, but I am trying to get the shape a little bit. Now, one of the things I'm not sure I'm happy about is how this, and I'm just blending this a little bit. Because I'm not real happy. Look at that. I have problems with my iCloud. It's almost full. Close that down. There we go. I'm a little happier with that. Come back over here. We see we still need some really dark areas around the bottom, so maybe do this. We do this. Looking at things maybe, and this is the cool part where we can grab our eraser. Maybe bring our pressure up a little bit. Size is too big. We take out all right, we're getting places. Now I'm going to pull some colors in the middle here and start to paint in some of the texture. Now we're going to take this. I don't like what I did there, so we're going to undo that. We're actually going to come opposite side. There we go. Again, what we're trying to do here, a little more water, is we're trying to give it shape. Let's go ahead and wet the whole paper. The way I wet the whole paper is by hitting the 3 droplets there. Oops. And you can see wetting the whole paper at that point may have not been the best idea, but it didn't ruin too much. In fact, I kind of like how we have that bleed out there. So what that means, I need to take my water down here because the paper is already wet. Because if you hit that, watch how, see how it spreads. Get some of this darker color here. And the darker color would come to this side too. Same thing over here. I do like this bleed, okay? Again, and that's personal opinion. We're not trying to be perfect. We're not trying to make this a masterpiece for the ages. What we're trying to do is just kind of play and let ourselves go. I almost feel like a therapist when I say that. Let ourselves go. Just trying to pick up some of the texture. We can always undo if we don't like what we're seeing. That's a great part about this, is the ability to undo. Now that can be dangerous a little bit, you know, if you're relying too much on the undo. Hence the reason why I'm kind of letting some of my, what I would consider mistakes go. You know, some people will look at this and go, oh, well, this is, I mean, my son could do this. Yeah, that's probably true. In fact, my daughter, who sits there and plays with crayons all the time, she creates items like this, and I love them. So maybe that's why I don't mind being told that some of my works are childlike. I'm trying to get a little more color in. I feel it's like a little too dead right now, if that makes sense. Back in, a couple of strokes here. And I don't want to overwork it. That, you know, you can get into the habit of overworking things. So I'm going to probably stop in a second here and let it go. If my daughter heard me sing that. Oop, don't like that. So we're going to go ahead and dry everything so that I can come in here. That's better. You know, if you have any questions about any of this, either about the program or about what I'm doing, just send me an email. Just go to www.thedigitalpainter.com and you can kind of send me an email, and I'd be willing to chit chat with you. I'm a chit chat type person. You see, I switched to green there because I want to come in, give these a little bit color. Take this brush smaller. Now sometimes I will do what I just did right there, to kind of get a sense of where I want something to be, and then I'll go back in and fill it in, especially if it's a shape that I don't draw a lot. I don't do leaves a lot. And you see, you know, even though I'm putting this in kind of messy, as soon as I let go, it blends, and that's the cool part. So it looks like garbage right there. But then I let go and you can, oh, it starts to blend. Let's get some really dark. Let's go uber dark. Go there. Come way down here to here so I can bring in some of this. There we go. Oops. Went a little too farther. And there, now it's starting to... Let's see what that does. Sometimes with watercolor, it's about experimenting. It's about finding out what things do together, how they interact with each other. Of course we can, oops. Yeah, actually I'm okay with that. And you can see, hopefully you can see why we went light first. Because that will, that's our highlight. Now, one of the things I'm not happy with right now is I feel like some of my stalking is a little too wide. So I'm going to come in here. That feels better. And that feels better. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab another layer. Oops, I duplicated, didn't mean to do that. Underneath. And we're probably going to do a sky color, I think. Because I think that'll be kind of nice. Now you can't, you know, with this program, you have other things up here. I'm trying to stick just to the watercolor. And so if I was trying to do a nice hard line, take a hard line stance here, I'd come in, take my water all the way down, and do something like this. On the other hand, if you bring the water way up, you can blend a little nicer. Like so. And let it bleed. Zoom out. Oh my goodness, my cloud storage hates me. What we're going to do now is we're going to go into the background. We're going to grab a light sky color, I think. Something like that. We're going to take our brush way high, water pretty high. We're just going to kind of, now I'm not making it completely around the images. I am, if you see there, I am going underneath them slightly because we're going to have some fun here in a second. You can see I'm doing a fairly smooth job. You know, I'm not making sure to fill in all my nooks and crannies. But now what we're going to do is we're going to jump over here to our tilt. We're going to tilt it a little bit. And you can see we're starting to get some of this tiltiness. Do a quick reset. And then we can do a quick dry. Then take some of this. We will go ahead and get some really nice tilty drippiness. We got this puppy really tilted here. Kind of let those flow and then hit reset. Now one of the things I don't want is I don't want to see the tiltiness inside the flower. So I grab my eraser. And we erase right inside the flower because that's on a layer underneath. Let's grab kind of a pink. No, we've got pink already. take our water down a little bit. Make sure we're tilted this way. And then just kind of see what happens. This is where I like the experimentation side of things. Let them kind of run into each other. There we go. And the cool thing is you can actually change your tilt. You can get different effects. All right. Well, I think we've gone long enough today. You can kind of see what I've started to create. Now I'd probably sit here and I'd probably play with things, because the great thing with digital painting is that you can turn off and turn on layers. So maybe, you come in, maybe try a different background. Maybe, let's say we grab a green. Make sure our tilt is all the way. Grab our brush. Look at it real quick. We want to get the entire thing wet. Put a bunch down and just kind of let it go. And that may be what you're trying to accomplish, to play with it. Like, look at that. With a bunch of water in it. Boom. Actually, I might like the green better. Then you could turn your tilt around and watch it go the other way. Get all sorts of cool things. Reset it. Hit the dry button. Grab your eraser and erase it inside. Yep, I like the green better. All right, that's it for this week. My name's Terry Danichikimiak II. I'm the digital painter. If you enjoy what you see here, definitely hit the subscribe button. I love seeing subscribers, or even better, stop by the website, thedigitalpainter.com. Check us out. Maybe join as a free member, enjoy what we have to offer, and become part of the community that we have over there. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a message in the comments, or you can hit our, head over to the website and send me an email. That's it for this episode of The Digital Painter. If you end up doing a tulip or a abstract version of a tulip, I'd love to see it. Go ahead and post it. Post it in the comments. I think it's cool to see what other people are creating. All right, that's it for this week. Enjoy and continue doing your art.